2 trading habits I recommend you start immediately. Start this day or stop trading. Do one or the other. But I wish I would have started this years ago, guys. Just 2 things that are going to make you a lot of money as a trader. The first is to journal or record your thoughts about your setups. Now, I know every Instagram influencer, they say journal your trades, get a notebook, write it down, yada, yada, yada. You don't have to actually write that shit down because let's be real. How many of you are going to take that book, that journal back out and read that shit? Don't fucking cap with me. You're not doing that, right? You're not reading that shit. You're definitely not going back in and studying it. So one thing you can do is just what I'm doing right here, which is make a video, screen record, talking to your phone, and then save a file or a video folder of yourself talking about your setups. And then go back in and listen to it, right? See if you followed your rules like you laid out originally. Also, what I want you to do is come up with hypothetical scenarios beforehand. So you say, hey, if stock XYZ gaps up tomorrow, this is how I'll play it. You say, hey, if stock XYZ gaps down tomorrow, this is how I'll manage my position. Or you say, if stock XYZ does this over the next few days or few weeks, this is how I'd like to scale into a position. And come up with these hypothetical scenarios in your head. So that way, when it comes time to execute your trades, you're on autopilot with your decision making. You're not caught up in the hype and the emotional ups and downs that stock trading can bring, okay? So do that. Journal, write down your thoughts about your trades. And then step 2 is where the money's made, guys. You've got to go back in time and back test. Go back and look at the top performers from years ago and pay attention to how they set up, where they moved, where they had their big moves at. What type of price action did we see before the stocks made their big move? Guys, and I do this Discord to help other people learn and make my ideas, publicly known to people that are interested in them. But I also do them for my own well-being, guys. I do these so I can go back in and look at a database of breakouts. Here I have SLS, probably the hottest stock in the market right now. One of the bigger momentum leaders the last week or so. Why did it move? Well, look at this flag. Look at this beautiful breakout. Right here, guys. Look how it moved into the 50-day moving average and then made a controlled move before having a pretty constructive pullback and immediately bouncing back over the 50-day moving average, putting in higher lows and tight range. Very tight range before popping up out of it, pulling back to another, green moving average, to another EMA 20. Putting in consistent higher lows, tight range, and then bouncing off and making another move. All right, I look at that. I look at other patterns similar. Here on, Mara, one of the biggest movers around COVID. This stock started at 40 cents, guys. Moved up to $1.10. Strong move. Took 3 days. Pulled back. Bounced up again. Put in a tight range. Pulled back to the 20 moving average, and then popped up for another controlled move from 70 cents back up to $1.25. Put in an even tighter range, a tighter flag, pulled back to the 50 moving average, and then where'd it go from here? Popped off from $1 up to $5. What a move! Then what did it do? Pulled back to the MA 50, put in consistent higher lows again, tight range above the 50-day, a little sideways action, consistent higher lows. Look at those bases building. And then look at that, the follow-through move from 225, clear up to 37, and that was one of the biggest winners from the COVID breakout, guys. You want to look at past charts and pay attention how they move. The easiest way to do it and ingrain it in your head, so you've got this mental database that you can extract from. The best way to do that, guys, as far as I know, is to build a physical database. I've got my Discord with all my favorite setups in here. You guys should build a file in your computer or on your phone. You should build a Evernote, an Excel, I don't know, whatever you're comfortable with. Put in hours going back and reviewing top setups and breakouts, and constantly check in on it every week or 2 weeks. Go back in and refresh your memory what you're looking for. Let's get into the setup. That's why you guys are here. Let's make some money. QQQ and SPY, guys. Strong day off the 50 moving average. Basically, kind of pin barred up into this gap on SPY, and we're just below the gap on QQQ. I'm a little bit more foot on the gas to see if we can get a gap fill here early week or by the end of the week. That's a strong move off the 50-day, and I'm not going to ignore it. UPST is my skin in the game position. If you missed the thesis, go back, watch last night's video. We laid out the constructive shape here and the range up above. I see 35, 50, 36 bucks is the first level to get through. Then I see room up to about 44. Or no, that's about 42. And then I see room up above that to like 47.5. So mid 40s to low 40s for a follow-through move is what I'm eyeing on UPST. Kind of don't want to see us give up the low of today for sure. That's your risk. BABA, no action. It's kind of in no man's land here on this mean reversion type of trade. Let's see if we can get some more downside follow-through action to look into a big bounce on BABA. MU, no action yet, but this chart tells you the state of the market. People are chasing. There's a little euphoria going on. People are still buying this thing on every single dip they can. We have to like that. Or I do. Shit, if I'm eyeing a big short trade here on MU, I like to see that. I like to see that aggressive buying taking place. Off the 20 EMA, we had a pin bar today. Let's see if we can continue this momentum up to new all-time highs before we look for a short trade. NUAI, I highlighted this one yesterday. I said dips were in play. Well, I didn't really expect the dip like we had today. To keep it a buck, I got stopped out on this trade, and it sucks because it stopped me out and then popped back up like 10% today. But it is what it is. That's what happens when you trade, small cap, thin stocks like this. There's a lot of market manipulation. And we took out the range of the last week and last 2 weeks before bouncing right back up. So I don't know if, I'm not in it. If it contracts within this candle here today and maybe gets a little tighter, maybe I get back in. But probably best that I don't touch this for now because it'd be easy to kind of chase and try to trade this thing with a vengeance. You guys that have done that, you know how that shit goes. You never want to trade with a vengeance, okay? The market owes you nothing. Not a thing, but an opportunity, okay? NLST, this is probably becoming a 5-star setup as far as flags go. It's a nice looking tight pattern here as we start to really ride the 50 EMA and put in this tight consolidation. Above today's high, look for this thing to kind of follow through. So that's probably my favorite setup out there. And XPER is a new one today. Took a position, risking the low of day today for a flag breakout here and continuation of the upside on XPER. That is all I've got for you guys today. I hope that this market lesson was, insightful, and I hope you guys buy into what I said, because that's what my mentor told me, is to make a database of the top performing stocks from not just the past year, decades. I mean, I'm talking, go back into the .com bubble back in 2000 and look at the tech stocks that popped off back then. Pay attention to how they move, take screenshots, and constantly review them. You want to make a lot of money, guys, do that shit. Lock in. Lock in, do that shit. Come back to me in a year, and we'll make a lot of money at this shit, all right? So peace, guys. That's all I got. I'll talk to you tomorrow.